Police Command, Mr. Nemi Edwin, who has warned political parties to maintain the existing peace in the state and urged parents to advise their wards not to be willing tools in the hands of politicians who might use them to want to recruit them as thugs. He condemned the practice of destroying political billboards and urged politicians to put a check on their overzealous loyalists and supporters. And Iwo sought the cooperation of the populace and warned his officers to have good relationship with the public to ensure peace. We don't want any violence or disturbance. Rather, we solicit peaceful campaigns. All we want is to move Edo State forward, he said. Mr. Vincent.
Yes.
Yes. There has been a forewarning given to all political parties participating in the gubernatorial elections in Edo State. We know that Edo State can be restive at some point because most Edo citizens are very opinionated. Many of them are very highly political in their character. Even without being politicians, they know about politics, and definitely emotions will run amok. What do you think might be the reasons for the police asking the political parties to maintain peace in the state come gubernatorial elections?
Okay, before I talk about the reasons why, the reason why they are giving the advice and why it is necessary, let me just touch a little on the character of the Edo people.
Okay.
Now, if you look at our history as a nation, you will see that whenever it comes to public, let me say, when it comes to protests, as it were, when it comes to objectivity, as far as the policies and programs of government is concerned, you will see that Edo State has always been in the front. Now, when you talk about students, talk about the general populace, youths, objecting to having an opinion, a strong opinion at that, as far as the policies and programs of government is concerned, you always hear that Edo, is in the front burner. Now, coming to the police, elections are coming, and then, as usual, they are out with the academic exercise of telling the people of Edo State, the politicians, the youths, as it were, the talks, that every person should be mindful of their action in order for there to be peaceful election and a peaceful transition. Now, the reason for that is not far-fetched. Just as I said, Edo State is a bit volatile when it comes to restiveness in opposition to certain actions of either individuals, the government, agencies of government, and what have you. Now, when such erupts, what we are going to see is a situation where there could be disruption of lives and properties, unrest, and then we may even see a situation where election could be cancelled and such incidents. And then we'll also see a situation where politicians and their party can capitalize on such unrest, to perpetrate their own, desire, which may not be, which may be inimical to the progress of the society. So it is in the place of the police actually for them to come forward and make the public understand that we are here to make sure everybody play according to the rule. Then the other thing about this whole advice or call on the public to behave well also boils down to the police itself, because we have seen over time that certain actions by either the people of the society, political parties, civil society, and what have you, that are inimical to the progress of the society are backed up, by the police itself. Then we see many times that the police are more or less like enabler as far as these actions, which they are talking about, is concerned. So, in other words, the onions also lies on the police authority to talk to their men who are going to be on duty, on the day of the election, before the election, during the election, and thereafter, for them to equally behave. And I believe that the conduct of the police is going to go a long way in charting the path which the citizens they are talking to, are going to follow.
Okay, but the posture of the parties, major parties involved. I know that almost close to 16 to 18 political parties will be participating, but we are looking at the top dogs and the big guns there, which we might single out the APC, the PDP, and the Labour Party.
Yes.
Where do you think, because we are trying to pass information in as much as we are trying to educate, where do you think that the embers of fire could start from? Where do you think it might be provocative? What do you think? Looking at the terrain, like right here, I'm seeing Ring Road, I'm seeing Ramat Park, I'm seeing some other sections of Benin City at least. I'm not, okay, let me say I'm also looking at Epoma from here. I can see Auchi from here, you know, and some other locations around Edo State. Where do you think might be volatile? Where do you think that the police should put more effort or should extend more personnel to be able to quell any restiveness that might come up from there?
Yes, you know, we can look at certain local government, certain cities in Edo as these land disputes as far, you know, excessive portrayals of interest among stakeholders, you know, both the voters, the leaders of the political party, their followers. Now, when you are looking at a place like Benin, now it's more or less like the nucleus, you know, where every other thing, you know, where it is, we can say it's the heart of the state, you know, where the veins, the arteries, you know, branches or to extend to every other place. Then in addition, we can also look at Epoma, we can look at Abuchi, then we can even look at Akoko Edo, because Akoko Edo, I know it's made up of several towns, you know, and villages, and it's heavily populated, you know, and so on and so forth. So the police, you know, need to do their own work to make sure all these places that we are looking at, you know, are well policed, especially the state capital, where, you know, it's more or less the gathering point of all the political parties, where they now, you know, spread their tentacles to other parts of the state. So it is important that the police make their presence to be in place in all these towns, in all these quarters, in all these local government, where there is massive interest. Because you know, when election period is at the corner like this, political players start making their calculations, trying to see where they will have their stronghold, and then no political party wants to lose in his or her stronghold. If, you know, such that even though they lose the general election, at least they should be able to make statement that yes, we own this particular enclave. So then other political parties, even though they know that they are underdog in certain stronghold, that does not mean that they will be going to sleep. And most of the time you'll be seeing that, you know, there will be, you know, there will be certain action that are out of order. So the police need to be in place, on top of their game, to make sure, you know, such actions that can be detrimental, you know, to the outcome of the election as expected, you know, does not, if they are all nipped in the bud.
But we have seen situations where security personnel have stood aloof while vote rigging, vote buying, rigging of ballot boxes, and also even use of firearms and incendiary instruments and weapons. And you see some police officials and officers standing aloof and not wanting to engage. Why should such situation be pardoned in our country when their duty is to arrest and even detain such elements of the public if they see them? But you get to see some situations where no action is taken. Instead, maybe they might even retreat back to their base. Would we see such incidences during these coming Guber elections?
Okay. The word there is a compromise.
Yeah.
The word is compromise. You know, compromise on the part of political parties. Now, you can hear the Mahmoud, you know, telling us that the political parties are going to sign a peace accord.
Exactly.
Meaning that we are expecting that all the major stakeholders are going to play by the rules. But because politics is a game of interest, we see a situation where the political parties and their stakeholders will try to influence certain state actors, including INEC itself, to play to their own dictate, especially where they will begin to sense that, okay, if we lie low, all the effort we are putting to see that we emerge victorious in this election, we may not achieve our objective. So the next thing they will try to see how they can push the institution of the state in charge of this election, the security, and the INEC being the executor of the election, to see that they dance to their own tune. And most of the times, we cannot deny the fact that such actions by the political stakeholders does not come without, certain incentives, which we term electoral malpractice. But we see a situation where these state actors, being the police in particular, decide to compromise their call to duty, then even on the part of the INEC too. And this is mainly the reason why we keep on seeing a situation where elections are hardly free and fair in our society, in the country, in the state, in our local governments. So the police are even also in position to checkmate INEC from compromising the will, and the aspiration of the people. But most time we don't see that happening. And that is compromise, if you ask me. So the police, once they are compromised, it becomes difficult for them to take certain action. And some of such action that become difficult for them to take is, addressing the issue of unrest. People brandishing firearms, snatching ballot papers, preventing certain people and certain quarters from casting their votes in order for them to suppress their votes in favor of their own interest party. Now, when we have a compromised institution of the state, such as the police as it were, we see a situation where even the police itself, because those who make the police compromise are not in the streets, brandishing the firearm, snatching the ballot box and all the rest of them, then the police will just have an assumption that these actors, these non-state actors, in the name of hoodlums, in the name of thugs, are actually the subject of those who have made them to compromise their own stance as far as their call to duty is concerned. And then that's why they will just watch. And then whatever the people want to do, any person that have the power should. Now, for instance, in our 2023 general election, I personally was in the field to observe a lot of things that happened. We saw a situation where, those who are physically, ready. When I say physically ready, I mean we saw fists being thrown, we saw firearms, we saw vehicles being used to kidnap electoral officers, and the police are just there watching aloft. And the simple reason is that they, whom the police authorities sent to the field, have not been able to, do what is expected of them. So, coming to Edo State, it is expected that such is going to happen. And I want to say here that it takes the people to say no to the reoccurrence of this thing, because it is the people that the onion finally falls on, to carry out whatever it is that is, making the outcome of election, and people seeing that those who they actually have at the back of their heart. Because when certain actions are being carried out to compromise the election, you see that inside in your heart you want Mr. A, but because you are loyal to one party or one individual or one politician or the other, then you are forced to carry out certain actions for party B. So the police, if they stand up to be counted as far as their call to duty is concerned, we will see a situation where such actions will be such that are inimical to the outcome of the election will be cut down to the barest minimum, and then we will see Edo State smiling at the end of the day as far as the outcome of the election is concerned.
Okay, we hope that the electioneering campaigning and also the upcoming elections in Edo State will bear the semblance of justified peace that the police is calling for. And with this, let's move on to our Anambra